What would you do with a brain if you had one?
Do? Why, if I had a brain, I could
while away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain. And my head I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching if I only had a brain. I'd unravel every riddle for any individual in trouble or in pain.
With the thoughts you'd be thinking you could be another Lincoln if you only had a brain.
Oh, I could tell you why the ocean's near the shore. I could think of things I never thought before, and then I'd sit and think some more. I would not be just a nuffin', my head all full of stuffin', my heart all full of pain. I would dance and be merry, life would be a ding-a-dairy if I only had a brain.
Wonderful. Why, if our scarecrow back in Kansas could do that, the crows would be scared to pieces.
They would? Where's Kansas?
That's where I live. And I want to get back there so badly, I'm going all the way to Emerald City to get the Wizard of Oz to help me.
You're going to see a wizard? Do you think if I went with you, this wizard would give me some brains?
I couldn't say. But even if he didn't, you'd be no worse off than you are now.
Yes, that's true.
But maybe you better not. I've got a witch mad at me, and you might get into trouble.
Witch? I'm not afraid of a witch. I'm not afraid of anything. Oh, there. Except a lighted match.
I don't blame you for that.
But I'd face a whole box full of them for the chance of getting some brains. Look. I won't be any trouble because I don't need a thing. And I won't try to manage things because I can't think. Won't you take me with you?
Why, of course I will.
Hooray! We're off to see a wizard!
Well, I know an awful lot of you saw the movie, The Wizard of Oz. And I know that very few of you, if any, understood any of what it was that you were watching. And you didn't make the connections with the metaphors that were presented in that motion picture. Who was the wizard? Who was Dorothy? What did the Tin Man represent? The Scarecrow. And, of course, the Cowardly Lion. What was that movie really all about? Well, I'm not going to give you the answer to those things, but if you want to, you can order the tape of the broadcast that we did where I did explain all of those things to the listening audience, and I may do it again sometime in the near future. But the connection that I want to make here is the wizard. The Wizard of Oz. Most of you throughout your life have watched things change in America, and you couldn't figure out why these changes were taking place. For Americans certainly wouldn't want it to happen. You've watched values destroyed, traditions disappeared. You have noticed that all of this destruction is coming from within, and so you look in vain for an enemy. Well, just as the wizard in The Wizard of Oz presented such a terrible face to the public in the personification of Dorothy, Toto, the Straw Man, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion, so too does this enemy present this terrible face to the public of the world in the personification of the power of the hidden order. And just as in the movie The Wizard of Oz, when Toto ran over and barked at the curtain and Dorothy told him to get away from there, well, he had the courage that none of the others had. He pulled the curtain aside, and just as in the movie The Wizard of Oz, this terrible omnipotent magician. For that's really what he was. Magic is the art of illusion, ladies and gentlemen. The art of deception, if you will. Just as in The Wizard of Oz, this omnipotent, terrible magician turned out to be a blustering, harmless old man hiding behind a curtain, twisting knobs and pushing buttons and causing great jets of gas to erupt in flame on the throne in the audience room. So, too, when you peer behind the veil that hides those known as the Illuminati, they turn out to be the same type of characters. And if you were able to identify them, ladies and gentlemen, round them all up overnight, you could end all this madness instantly. For they truly are, for the most part, doddering old men and women, and not so old men and women who, in their everyday normal lives, you would perceive to be as harmless as a caterpillar in your garden. And that metaphor applies also, for that harmless little caterpillar, while you're busy sweeping, is eating away your garden at night. However, he couldn't hurt you if he wanted to, could he? That's the perception. The perception is wrong, because a whole bunch of those harmless little caterpillars can destroy your garden and deprive you of the food that you need. In fact, if they were to be able to proliferate freely across the agricultural farmland, they could indeed destroy an entire nation. So, don't dismiss these broadcasts and these revelations lightly. For just as those harmless little caterpillars that you can hold on your finger and couldn't hurt even a fly, can destroy your entire garden in one night's work, or maybe even a couple of nights' work, so too can your grandmother, grandfather, uncles and aunts, fathers, mothers, brothers and sisters, cousins and neighbors destroy this nation behind your back. While you're looking around in vain for something to identify as an enemy, they are busy at work in your own backyard, in your own kitchens, your own homes, living rooms, clubs, places of work, recreational facilities. And yes, they have an agenda. And yes, just like that caterpillar, if you're not careful, they will destroy your garden.
That's the trouble. I can't make up my mind. I haven't got a brain. Only straw.
How can you talk if you haven't got a brain?
I don't know. But some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
Yes, I guess you're right.